Now, to be as our expert here today and to be the one that's going to fill us in on all of the gaps and the latest, it's Mr. Chris Gill from Courses Lawyers. Welcome, Chris.
Good morning, Anthony. Thank you for having me.
Anything else like the pool fencing that's a big underlying thing that's sitting out there on the market? Is there anything you can think of?
I think banks are a big issue in the market, which very much has an adverse effect on a property settlement and the process of settlement.
Talk to me about it.
Okay, banks are in the process of changing the way they do things, and I'm sure it's as a result of banks wanting to be economically viable and save money. They're outsourcing the settlement process.
Right,
Now,
so that's
they're no longer controlling their own destiny, they're outsourcing to specialist settlement companies. And in doing so, we've got extra links in the chain and we're dealing with a lot of call centres. All 4 major banks have now done it, and it's only a matter of time before it has an adverse effect.
So the consequence to the purchaser?
Is the time between signing a contract, receiving finance approval and settlement is getting greater.
Give me an example.
4 weeks was a standard settlement time. 3 weeks we could do. We could sign in a couple of years ago's contract now and settle before Christmas. We would struggle if a contract was signed today to settle before the middle of January, perhaps even the end of January.
Now the implications of that are quite profound when it comes to auction or tender.
Certainly.
Just explain that to everyone.
Okay, so if you have a traditional auction or a tender, settlement 30 days from the auction or the acceptance of the tender. That's fine, except a purchaser generally wouldn't have started the finance process to the degree of getting an absolute approval until they know they're successful.
Okay.
Now, it takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and if they then receive their approval, they've got to sign documents, they've got to have all the processes in place, and they've got a week to do it.
Are the banks still telling the purchaser that it'll be fine in 30 days, but then not being able to deliver?
Well, most of the banks are sensible. They know their own limitations.
Right, okay.
However, what we're finding is the bank managers, and these are people for good commercial clients of banks as well, the bank managers no longer have the control they used to have.
Right.
Because it's outsourced to third parties who have time. We have 4 days to process this document. We're going to take 4 days. And as long as they meet their service levels, then there's no assistance, and it's causing a great deal of problems at the moment.
So the lesson there is very important. If you're looking to buy a property, you must allow at least 6 weeks for settlement, and if there's big holiday periods in there like there is over Christmas or over Easter, make sure you add those days to that 6 weeks, and you really must get that sorted out before you start bidding at auction. So when you register at an auction, make sure that you get the clearance for a 6-week settlement or 7 week if there's a whole lot of public holidays there. How does that sound?
Perfect. Yep.
Right.
It would certainly make the settlement process easier, and curiously we're getting a lot of vendors who are unable to discharge mortgages in time for settlement.
For the same reasons?
For the same reason. Some of the banks, especially if they're losing the business, will take 4 weeks to discharge a simple loan. Now, we used to work on 3 or 4 business days. We're now at 25 business days to do the same process.